the world is changing. Some people might see it and say, oh, it's just business as usual. Some might say, yeah, it's changing, but it's been changing for a long time. It's something that's been brewing for a long time. Some people feel it. They can feel the pressure that's mounting. Along with that, though, I've noticed that something else is happening. Something that I wasn't quite expecting. So, a few years ago or so, right, I could be watching something and it would be really wholesome. You know, it would be something that had a good lesson to it. It would be something that would be like, you know, the traits that the characters had, or something, you know, that they did would be really good. And people would just trash it. They would call it boring or the same old thing, or, you know, any number of these things. Lately, though, I've been noticing something a bit different. I've been consuming content, and a lot of it, you know, most of it has been very positive. It's been, you know, wholesome. Instead of the rude comments that I normally had seen even just a few years ago, people are starting to see these things, these traits, these, you know, way that these characters are acting, the way that they carry themselves, and they're complimenting it. The story, the script, a lot of it, they're enjoying it. And I think it's because, number one, they can feel the pressure. And a lot of them just want a release valve. And that's how they're beginning to see this wholesome content, is something that is, instead of pressure filled, it's light. It's nice. Of course, not all of it is like that. Some of it, yes, it's wholesome, but it's also very heavy. Very thought-provoking. I think more and more people are looking for the light. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this new channel. Because, and this next part is going to be more toward the believers, the brothers and sisters, like me. The world is very dark. We're told that over and over, and we're told that, you know, entertainment is dark, and, you know, there's all of this darkness to it, and there is a lot, unfortunately. But here's the thing, though. I think in some cases, we need a different perspective. Because if you look at something and you strive for it, and you know, envision envision it, and you go after it with the right mindset, the right heart, and the right spirit, and that spirit being discernment. I think actually you might be actually just a little bit surprised by how much you can find that is still light filled. For us as believers, we believe that we were made in the image of God. All of us. And people are given talents through Him. And somebody can ignore those or use them for the wrong reasons or just not listen to the voice. But we believe that there is something inherent that calls out to us and that we know. And I think it's because of that, that even in something that you wouldn't expect to be light, the person, the image, the personality of God can still be in that if you know where to look for it. One of the biggest things that gets a lot of criticism, not even, from us believers, but even some non-believers too, is anime. People say, oh, it's too dark. It has this, underlying focus that's not good. That's not good. And people are like, you should avoid it. Just avoid it. Act like it doesn't exist, or know that it exists, but stay away from it. One thing that I have learned, though, from my time when I started my anime journey is that you would be surprised at how thought-provoking and how in how many ways you can use it to connect to people. We have the Great Commission, and part of that is finding a middle ground, finding something that is relatable, something that people can connect to and connect with, and using that to explain the message. And so that's what this is. It's finding a common ground. One common ground that I was not expecting to find is our main topic today. So, about a year and a half ago or so, I was, watching YouTube, and I was, keeping up with some of my favorite creators, and I came across this ad for this anime, and when I saw the title, I'm like, yeah, okay, let's avoid that. Not only that, but it was only in sub, and the way that my mind works, I cannot read what's going on on the screen, like below in the lower thirds, and also pay attention to what's happening in the foreground. It's just something in my brain doesn't connect that altogether. It's not that I don't like it, and it's not that I don't like the Japanese language. I've actually been trying to learn Japanese for quite some time. I think it's a beautiful language, especially in the way that it's written. But it's a disconnect somewhere. So I ignored it. I'm like, okay, well, this is something that exists. Whether I think it should or not, that's, yeah. Then a little while later, I saw another ad for the same anime. And they were announcing the dub. And I'm like, alright, look, let's give it a fair shake, okay? If it's something that convicts me, if it's something that I can already tell, oh, it's not gonna be good, I can just turn it off. That's what you do. You just turn it off. I wasn't expecting what I found. Not at all. The anime I'm referring to is Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Now, don't shut me out just yet. Don't turn me off just yet. Just hear me out, because personally, I think that this title is clickbait. I think it's something that the author used to bring people in, because there are some people who would see that title and they'd be like, oh, I want to read this. I want to see what it's about, because reasons. I wasn't expecting what I found. So, all right, so let me give a little bit of context with the story itself. So, Sakata, the main character, lives at home with his sister Kaide. Now, these two are living alone. The reason being is because in her past, something happened to Kaede. It was awful. It was evil. And it changed her life. It broke her. It destroyed her spirit. To the point where she refused to leave the house. She refused to talk to anyone that wasn't family. She was scared to death. She was bullied. It was cyberbullying. Some of her classmates decided they didn't like her. And so instead of going to her and, naming their complaints, they decided that they were just going to express themselves behind the screen. her text messages became inundated with awful comments. I have to be careful about how I express it because it it was it's it's very evil. And I'm sure just by that description, you can probably guess what the main topic was and what they were driving her to do. Kaede became a shell of herself. She, as I said, she couldn't interact. She couldn't even stand to be around strangers. Something else occurred that we'll get to when we start the real deep dives. But I want to just do the introduction today. So this all occurred, and because of it, her mental health nosedived, and she was hospitalized. And her mom, feeling for her daughter, but not really knowing what to do or how to help, she also had a mental breakdown and had to be hospitalized. Her dad, their dad, wanted to support his daughter, but he also wanted to support his wife, his partner, his partner in life. And so he went to be with her in the hospital. And that left Sakuta to take care of his sister. And some people might say, oh, well, he just abandoned his children. They just ran away. And the thing is that that's not what happened, though. There are things throughout the series that, make that clear, is that he didn't abandon them. But there were times when it felt like he did. So Sakuta was left to take care of her. When Sakuta is first introduced, he does this inner monologue, and he kind of explains the things that are going on and happening with his sister and his situation. But his attitude seems almost kind of, I suppose in a way, like listless. He goes around and he's just kind of there. He has a very slow way of speaking. He interacts with people. He has friends. But from the way that he communicates at times, people might think, oh, you know, he's just not really going anywhere. But again, that's not the case. I think what happened with Sakata, and what started to happen with him, is that the pressure began to build. And he knew that he needed to help his sister. He knew that she was going to require, a lot of comfort and, assistance. So he was trying, so hard to be that person for her. But it kind of started to overwhelm him a little bit. And so I think his emotions just kind of I'm not going to say they turned off, because something about Sakata is, I think, because of what he went through with Kaede, you begin to realize that he's not listless, he's not uncaring. It's actually quite the opposite. He cares quite a lot. And the way that he interacts with people, the way that he connects with them is, it's kind of a rare trait. Back when this whole thing started with Kaede, he kind of freaked out and he ran out of the hospital down to this creek and he met someone. She introduced herself as Shoko. And Shoko basically told him, strive for kindness. And so that's what he began to do. He strived to become kinder. There's a type of empathy that that lives within Sakata that is rare. And actually, it's actually biblical. Philippians 23:5 through, I believe, 6 tells us this. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not to his own interests, but also in the interests of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus. The first, or I guess technically the second thing that Sakata has to deal with, you might think, oh, he's being selfish. He does have something to gain by this because, it involves a girl, and to him, it's a very pretty girl. And, he's just doing it for brownie points. And I think in the very beginning, maybe he was. But it quickly turns into something else. It very quickly turns into a type of love that is, in fact, very unconditional. Isakata, he does everything he possibly can in this first scenario. So he's at school, and he's in the library, and all of a sudden, this girl comes in. He recognizes her. She is one of the upperclassmen, hence Senpai. And her name is Mai. So she comes in, and she is in a bunny suit, and he's like, "Well, this is strange. It's cool, but it's very strange." So they have this interaction, and Mai seems very, very surprised that Sakata is talking to her. We learn why later. But she's very surprised, and she says something to the effect of, "So you can see me?" And he's like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be able to?" And she's like, "Okay, well, now that you've seen me, it's best if you just forget about me." And then leaves. Sakata is very confused. He doesn't know what to think about this. He's like, "Okay, this is odd." And again, we're going to go into more of a deep dive into this with the next videos that I do make based on this topic. But the short version is Mai is going through something in which people do not perceive her normally. She is literally actually become invisible to the world. But Sakata can see him, or see her. This also has to do with him and Kaede. Basically, they both went through something, and it's the same thing that Mai is going through, only in a different form. And that's the reason why Sakata is really the only one that can perceive Mai at this point in time. So he pursues her, and he's trying to understand. He's trying to unravel this mystery as to why only he can perceive her. Why the rest of the world cannot see Mai Sakarijima. So Mai, in her childhood, was an actress. Later, she became a model. But an act of betrayal changed her view of someone who was very close to her. It was her mother. Her mom, unfortunately, took advantage of Mai's fame in order to enrich herself. That's the short version. And because of that, Mai felt very ignored. She didn't understand how her mother could do something like that to her. And at first you think, oh, it's, she was famous, and then she quit, and the world just moved on, right? Like, it happens. Like, people are in the spotlight, and they're not, and people forget them. Other people come into the spotlight, the focus changes on them, and they're just together, just fade away into obscurity. And yes, that does happen. That's not what was happening here, though. The point is, and like I said, I'm generalizing because I'm shortening this because I want to do deeper dives in later videos. We'll go into my situation, everything that went with it, and then we'll go to other characters that that Sakura came to know and came to become close to. Tomoe Koga, Rio Futaba. Rio is actually a friend of his that he's had for a long time, but there are others that he just comes to know, and they have these situations, and instead of just going, oh, that sucks, I've got kind of what I want now, so I don't really need to involve myself in this other thing, right? Sakura doesn't do that. He gets involved. He lets these people be seen and heard and understood. Culture today will tell us that in order to succeed, you have to be self-made. You gotta pick yourself up by your bootstraps and just do it, And as long as you believe in yourself, then you're good. That's so wrong, though. And the interesting thing about Rascal is that it shows that so clearly. Kaede needed her brother. Mai needed Sakuta. His other friends that he comes to know or that he already knew, they needed someone to understand them, or to at least take the time to try. There's a quote, and it's an unknown quote. I've never been able to find the person that said it, and maybe someone in the comments can tell me who it was. But it says, love is friendship times time. Even the most introverted person needs someone to understand them. A friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a spouse, a parent. Someone who either understands them right away or at least will take the time to do so. I had a friend. I have a friend. I haven't heard from her in quite a while, but I still consider her to be a very important friend. One of my best. She was very introverted. Very she would interact with people, yeah, and she would be happy and joyful, and she would pay attention to people. And you actually wouldn't really know at first glance the anxiety that existed from being in public and being afraid that things would go wrong. I've known a lot of people throughout my life, and I've seen different types of anxieties, right? I've encountered them, and so I know what it looks like. I know how to to notice it, how to look at it, and so I know when it's time to let it go and when it's time to push. And when we met, I let it go because it was that time. The situation was difficult, and it wasn't the time to address it yet. But over time of getting to know each other and listening to each other and understanding one another, we built this bond. And we would encourage each other in small ways, in big ways. We would make it our mission, I guess, throughout the day to do that, to encourage each other, to let each other know that we're doing good, we're doing well. And people need that. Like I said, even the most introverted of people, they need some kind of system, some kind of support. They may fight it, they may pull away, they may hide. But let me ask you a question. For those of you that are very outgoing, who have lots of friends, who, just, you're very, outgoing. How would you feel if all of your friends suddenly just vanished? I would dare to say that it would be a very empty feeling. And on the same token, someone that has trouble letting people in because you think, oh, I don't deserve it, or oh, I'm not doing things right, or even we just want people to leave us alone. But then we get scared and we think, well, what if they really do leave us alone? Alone in the dark. It's not a good feeling. Some independence is okay. But I have this line in one of my books. For those of you that don't know, I'm also an author, and two of the characters are talking, and I think it's my main character says the most independent people have the foreknowledge and the wisdom to be dependent. It might sound like an oxymoron, but it's not. We need each other. It's something that is woven within the very strings of who we are. Whether you believe in a higher power or not, there is still an emptiness that comes from feeling alone. Genesis 2:18. It's actually wrong. I'm not sure how I did that, but Genesis 2:18 says, "And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone." For my brothers and sisters, that was when God created Eve to be a partner for Adam. Whether you believe it's but by design or by happenstance, you can't, I don't think, ignore that there are certain people that come into our lives and things are just better. Because we know that they will stand with us. It's not perfect. It will have failures from time to time, but it is still important. And despite what society may try to say about being independent, I mean, we have the Declaration of Independence. Now, granted, that's from, breaking away from England, but people sometimes see that and they're like, well, we gotta, connect that to our everyday lives. We have to pick ourselves up. We have to do things ourselves, as I said earlier. And, it just become this very, it's kind of funny, but dependent on independent society. Every once in a while, though, you'll see that there's actually bits of society that absolutely completely counteract that. And that's what we have here. We have something that shows you specifically that you cannot be alone. Interaction is important. Connections are important to us. Just something to think about, something to consider. So that's my overview of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. The coming videos on this specific topic will be going into the specific situations and how they show, again, the importance of connection, and also how there's a lot of deceit that comes into certain experiences that we might have, certain ways that we might feel, or be driven to feel. The deceit that hit Kaede was that she was worthless, that she had no place in the world. And each and every one of these characters that we will talk about have a certain deceit that was used against them to bring them into the situations that they find themselves in. And it took someone to take the time to break them out of that deceit, to give them truth, to speak into them, to make things right. I'm going to break these up though, so we won't just be talking about this, obviously. I'm going to go into a plethora of different anime. I'm also going to go into things that aren't anime. I'm going to go into TV shows, books, movies that I've, interacted with throughout my life, and I've seen certain things that I think are important, and they help to connect people, and they help to show a bridge and a middle ground, something that speaking to the believers again, we have the Great Commission. I think I said this already, but part of that is having the discernment to be able to relate to people, to bridge the gap. And so that's what we're going to do. Matter of fact, the next video, we're going to go over another, I think, classic, and it's called Real Life. It's a very, very interesting piece of media. And again, like Rascal, it has a lot to it. And it does also show the importance of having support systems around you and not being alone. But I think in a little bit of a different way. And different lessons. So, that's it for now. Post your comments below. I want to have a conversation. Do you think, what did you think of what we went over so far? Does it connect with you? Does it bring you at a little bit more of a disconnect than you had before you even started the video? What? Let me know. Let's talk. Alright. So until next time, I am Kai. This is Kai's Good Fruit Media Perspectives. So long, everybody.